We're back with On the Heavenly Spheres, Chapter 7. We're in houses. And I think this is my 4th video tonight, so my voice is getting tired. We got this. Okay. We are talking about the importance of, we're on page 100, and it's angularity, degrees of angularity. The degree of a planet's angularity is without a doubt the most determining factor with regard to its power of expression. A planet can have 3 levels of angularity. Angular when placed in the 1st, 10th, 7th, and 4th houses, succedent in the 11th, 8th, 5th, and 2nd houses, cadent in the 12th, 9th, 6th, and 3rd houses. A planet with an angular placement comes highly distinguished in the chart's overall context, often overriding all other factors. Inversely, a cadent planet is considered very weak, making little impression on the chart's overall context. The planets in succedent houses obviously have an intensity that lies beneath both these extremes. There are 3 angular planets in Florabella Espanca's chart. Saturn in the 1st, a conjunction of Moon and Mars in the 7th. In the life of this poet, the contrast between a depressive an introverted vein, Saturn in Scorpio in the 1st house, and a fiery, agitated one, Mars and Moon in Aries in the 7th, are noteworthy. These factors are apparent in the behavior and the life of Florabella Espanca. The other places, although equally important, are expressed in a less obvious manner. The joys. Another type of placement that gives a planet a special significance, the joy. A planet is said to be in its joy when it's placed in a house whose signification has a greater affinity with its nature. When located in the house, the planet acquires a power of expression. Each planet has a joy in a single house, this being known as the residence or temple of the planet. Mercury, significator of the mind, has its joy in the 1st house of the persona of the individual. The moon, the fastest and most mutable planet, has its joy in the 3rd, since this is the house of movement, of short trips, and of communication. Venus, the planet of love and pleasure, expresses its joy in the 5th house of love, games, and romance. Mars, the planet of war and force, has its joy in the 6th house of illness and servitude. The sun, the Lord of the heavens, source of the light and life, has its joy in the 9th house of faith, religion, and foresight. Jupiter, the greater benefic, has its joy in the 11th house of allies, friends, and hopes. Saturn, carrier of limitations and the greater malefic, has its joy in the 12th house of tribulations, restrictions, and imprisonments. Thus, in traditional astrology, the 5th house, for example, may be referred to as the temple of Venus or the joy of Venus. I'm going to read this note now in the box. Note, do not confuse the joys by house with those by sign mentioned in chapter 6. The joys by sign refer to a particular state of essential dignity of the planet, while the joys by house are related to an affinity within the nature of the planet and the significations of the house where it has its joy. The system of joys also reflects the natural symmetry of the planets. Thus, the nocturnal planets, Moon, Venus, and Mars, have their joy in the houses below the horizon, the 3rd, the 5th, and the 6th, while the diurnal ones, the Sun, Jupiter, and Saturn, have them above the horizon, the 9th, the 11th, and the 12th. The system also emphasizes the planets of the same nature, which are positioned in houses opposite each other. Thus, the Sun-Moon pair luminaries are placed in the 9th and 3rd houses. Respectively, the Jupiter-Venus pairs, the benefics, on the 11th and the 5th houses. Reinforce the fortunate nature of those houses. The pair Saturn and Mars, the malefics, on the 12th and 6th axis underlie a less pleasant aspect to those houses. Note also that the joy placements favor the houses considered to be less powerful. There are joys in the fourth, there are joys in the four cadent houses: Moon in the third, Mars in the sixth, Sun in the ninth, and Saturn in the 12th. And two of the succeeding houses, which would be Venus in the fifth and Jupiter in the 11th. Of the angular houses, oh, I'm getting tired. They themselves are considered the most powerful. Only the first has its joy. Only the first is the joy of a planet Mercury. So, yeah. Of the angular houses, who by themselves are considered the most powerful, only the first is the joy of the planet Mercury. I'm going to read Sorrow of the Planets before we move on, because it looks like that will kind of finish everything out. So, this is the little box here on page 102. The Sorrow of the Planets. Some traditional authors state that the house opposite that of the joy of a planet is the house of its sorrow. In this place, the planet would be a more incapacitated position, although it seems to have a logical basis since it repeats the rulership, exile, exaltation, fall pairs of the rulership system of dignities. This concept is not very functional in practical terms. For example, Jupiter, planet of fertility and abundance, would have its sorrow in the fifth house, opposite the 11th of its joy. However, in practical terms, the placement of a planet in fertility, the placement of a planet of fertility in the house of children is very favorable. Similarly, the position of Venus in the 11th house, where it would have its sorrow, is traditionally interpreted as marriage for love, representing therefore a very happy situation. This is an example of how pure logical deduction does not always apply to the astrological system. Note also that the oldest authors do not mention the sorrows of the planet, which suggests it may have been a later development, probably from the late Middle Ages. Okay, moving back to the text. Integration of essential dignity, angularity, and joy. It is important to mention that the highlight given to a planet in angular condition or joy does not modify its essential condition, dignity, or debility. These conditions can combine and reinforce each other, but they never negate each other. Thus, even if debilitated by zodiacal position, fall, or detriment, a planet may still be highlighted in a chart by virtue of its angularity or joy. Inversely, a planet in excellent zodiacal condition, rulership or exaltation, can see its strength diminish by being in a cadent house. Excuse me. Let's look first at the interaction between joy and essential dignity of the planet in the chart of Karl Marx. For example, we can find two planets in their joy. The moon is in the third, and Jupiter is in the 11th. But they have very different zodiacal conditions because the moon is exalted in Taurus and Jupiter is in its fall in Capricorn. The moon in its joy and exaltation is obviously a very powerful planet in this horoscope. It represents a great capacity to materialize Taurus, its ideas, notably through journalism, books, natural topics of the third house. Jupiter's situation is different. On one hand, it's strengthened by being in its joy, and on the other, it's being weakened by being in its fall. These two factors, apparently contradictory, combine to contribute to their interpretation. The placement of Jupiter by joy suggests that the individual has allies, the 11th house, with great power. However, since the planet is debilitated, we can deduce that these allies, while powerful, are inconstant or inconsistent. Maybe inconsistent would be a better word, inconstant. And they promise more than they can deliver. A similar situation can occur with debilitated but angular planets. Although an angular planet has an apparent expression, always has apparent expression, its essential nature is debilitated. Excuse me. This is the last video for sure tonight. Um, okay. If its essential nature is debilitated, it tends to express in its more challenging side. In the chart of King Sebastian, for example, the sun is angular, conjunct the ascendant, so it's in the first, but debilitated in fall and peregrine in Aquarius. I thought the sun was in fall in Libra. Hmm. Um, but debilitated in fall and peregrine in Aquarius. So like more detriment? The angularity of the sun gives the king authority, and natural brilliance. But those qualities tend to become imposing and inappropriate or even arrogant due to the debilitated condition of the sun. This condition is even more emphasized by the conjunction of the sun with choleric Mars. With respect to dignified but cadent planets, the reverse situation occurs. The expression of the planet, while discrete, is stable, balanced, and of good quality. Okay. I just want to get the falls, and I know you can say exile, detriment. Like, there's so many different ways to say a planet is not doing good. When they're opposite their domicile or exaltation. In the sun in Aquarius is opposite its domicile, and the sun in Libra is opposite its exaltation. Um, but I'm not going to find those too quickly. I just thought that fall was from exaltation and detriment was from domicile. Um, but when I go looking for things, I can never find them so quickly. So that's homework. Figure it out for me and put it in the comments. And it's a thing I know all the time. I literally just can't remember right this minute. Um, y'all, we have read so much. Ah, okay, I found it. The sun is exalted in Aries because spring begins when it enters this sign. Wait, that's the exaltation. It's not going to say. Oh, wait, here it is. Yeah. Oh, first the exaltations. Yeah, its fall occurs in Libra, a sign that signals diminishing light in the beginning of autumn. Uh-huh. So, where's the domiciles? Or the falls? No, the detriments. Are you looking through the book with me? Wait, okay. Yeah, so here's a little thing for detriments. It's a figure 5 on page 70. And the sun is in detriment in Aquarius. Ha! Okay, so I found another typo. And then I also found like I'm learning things, I'm remembering things. It's been the hardest thing for me is to remember all the things that I know when I need it, when I want it. Okay, thank you for reading with me. I will start what? This is chapter 8. And what will chapter 8 be? Chapter 8 is going to be, oh, it's aspects. Yeah, yeah, that's going to be fun. Okay, soon. We will meet again soon. Thank you.